Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Sadly, things go in cycles, and this time it's no different. People generally will make statements about Islam and never actually bother to take the time to ask the question. They just assume that what they know is fact and they're correct in all their knowledge. So this statement, in which we hear all too often, is that Allah is a moon god and he has 2 daughters. And that's a fact. So first off, it's 3 daughters, Lat, Uzza, and Manat. So right there, the fact is already 50% incorrect. So now for the other part, Allah being a moon god. I will agree with anyone who says that the pagan Arabs incorrectly worshipped Allah as a moon god and associated 3 daughters with him. Now let me say it again. The pagan Arabs incorrectly worshipped Allah as a moon god and associated 3 daughters with him. And if you ask any Muslim, we do not dispute this. It's a well-known fact and it's in the Quran. Now, I just want to clarify a few things before I move on to the daughter issue. So when mankind gets off track, he sends a prophet or a messenger, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon them all. He sends them to guide us and get us back on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Sirat al-Mustaqim. That sounds really familiar. And this one is huge. The entire foundation of Islam is based on one belief, and that is La ilaha illallah. There's no God but Allah. And the worst possible sin in Islam is to associate partners with God, and that is called shirk. So to say that Allah, God, has daughters or a son is the worst possible thing a Muslim could do. The pagan Arabs love their sons. The daughters, well, not so much. And this is another video, but for those who don't know, a very common practice at that time was to take newborn baby girls and bury them in the desert alive. The lifestyle in which they lived was very difficult, and women were considered a burden. There was one more mouth that they had to feed, and there was no value in women. They were considered even lower than domestic animals. You can find more on the domestic animal issue in the video description. So what does Allah say in the Quran, astaghfirullah, about his daughters? Have you seen Lat and Uzza, and another, the 3rd goddess, Manat? What, for you the male sex, and for him the female? Such would be a division most unfair. These are just names that you've devised, you and your forefathers, for which Allah has not sent down any authority. They follow nothing but conjecture and what their own souls desire, even though they've already had guidance from their Lord. So here's a little breakdown of what this actually means. Allah is addressing the pagans, the polytheists, the mushrikun, and he's asking them, have you seen the 3? And of course it's a rhetorical question because of course they have. To them, these are the 3 most powerful gods next to Allah. And then the question, why daughters? You love sons. Why do you associate something which you consider to be inferior to God? Is Allah not greater than you? Does he not deserve the best, which you consider to be sons? What kind of an unfair association is this? I mean, how would you feel? You take pride in sons and all you've been given is daughters while your neighbor has sons. How is that going to make you feel? It's going to be something that you consider to be very unfair. And then Allah finally answers the question. You, not Allah, have created these beings, you've given them names, and you've begun worshipping them. And this has been going on since your father and your grandfather and so on. And you have no evidence to do this. So why are you doing it? And to be able to associate themselves with these goddesses, each group or tribe that worshipped that particular goddess would have status and power within the community. And this is something that they were after, their own whims and desires. Allah has always said that there's only one God and he has no partners. Yet they still worship these goddesses and all the other idols that they have created in Mecca. And they would know this if they only cared to listen. But again, worldly gain. So, are there any questions? So, people like to talk about something called the Satanic verses. And it's an interesting little story.